All right, we know that it's been, probably at least a month for a lot of kids who are now back in school. And with that being said, we know that there are a lot of pressures that kids face these days. I mean, all kinds of pressure, like adapting to a new school or grade, homework, tests, a new environment, on top of all of the academic pressures. There's also a lot of peer pressure, like with friends, the social pressures, like social media. The kids, unfortunately, sometimes they have to deal with bullying, there's vaping, alcohol. So how do our kids handle all of that? And how do we handle our kids who have to face those kinds of situations? Well, right now I have Stephanie Siete. She is a prevention specialist. You also work for the city of Peoria as well, right?
Correct.
Educating them.
Yes.
Tell me the work that you do.
So for the city, I do a coalition, and we bring like-minded people together, parents, teachers, police, business people that are concerned about making their city safer. But as a consultant or preventionist everywhere, who doesn't want that?
Yes.
Have a better community.
Yes, and I gotta be honest with you, full transparency here. I actually met Stephanie at one of my daughter's friends' homes because you came in at the parents' request to talk about safety, to talk about the pressures that our kids are dealing with. And, you know, with my kids, they're entering a brand new middle school, they're entering a new grade, they deal with buildings, not classrooms that are, you know, just feet apart. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated the knowledge and just, you know, the talk about these are some of the things that the kids are going to be facing these days, unfortunately. And it's a reality.
For sure. I love how we met too, right?
Yeah.
That a family was willing to host an important conversation. Sometimes we wait for the school to do it or hope somebody else is going to do it.
Right.
And instead, this was parents, neighbors, friends, family,
Yeah.
kids and parents,
Yeah.
just talking so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, because they cared. They cared
Yes.
enough to kind of, you know, be at the forefront of this rather than in hindsight, something bad happened and then you got to deal with it.
Yes.
So talk about the toll. I mean, we mentioned, you know, the bullying, the vaping, all of that stuff. Those are pressures that our kids sadly will eventually face.
Yeah.
But that can really take a mental toll and physical toll too, emotional, all of it.
Yeah, I want parents, just people in general, to think about when the kids go back to school, they're facing concerns and pressures from all areas, right? Like living up to expectations, not just of parents, but the school, the testing, if they're on a team. There's a lot that's coming at them, and it can be overwhelming. So hopefully they have someone to talk to as opposed to turning to some of the things we were just saying. You know, we don't want them to go use a substance or take a pill. We want them to have some sort of connection that they can have an outlet. Because if they don't, the anxiety, the depression can all add up. And,
Right.
and as a young person, it's scary for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you say connection because you believe that's really where it's at. That connection is almost prevention,
Yes.
right?
Two things. The opposite of addiction is connection. Love saying that. And prevention is before the problem. Right? So, like,
Yes.
let's just do what we're doing. Talk about this. Have people, especially the parents, be informed about what's happening in the world of social media and mental health and substances and day-to-day pressures, and then put it together, prevention before the problem. Maybe sit down and connect with your kids, not once a week, right? You know, let's make family time. Let's make it a priority to
Right.
ask what's going on in their daily lives.
Yeah, like dinner time.
Yes.
Or, you know, last night my daughter and I, we went for a walk after dinner and I used those walks as an excuse to really talk to her. So what's going on at
Yes.
school? You know, how are your subjects going? You know, what, just to kind of tap into their world and how that like allow an opportunity to open the door and hopefully, you know, see something in the forefront and talk to her about it.
Yeah, use your time wisely. Like you said, you're out for the walk, even when you're driving in a car, right?
Yes,
I kinda
the
joke
drive
that
time.
hopefully they're not jumping out.
I've heard that from so many moms, the drive time.
Yes.
That is crucial time.
Yeah.
Give me some examples of how we can use that, because I can never get enough examples.
I kind of laugh that I get to be other people's or other kids' positive adult role models. So sometimes even with my family, I'm like, let me take the cousins, let me drive with them and just ask them some Q&A about how things are going. And it's amazing, I'll tell you this, me not being the parent, how many things they're gonna share with me. So I would also remind parents, it's not all on your shoulders. Think about your friend, the coach, the counselor, the neighbor, other positive adult role models that impact your kid's life. If you guys are on the same page with the same messaging, that's what's going to be important. You don't want them to hear from just their friends in the internet. You know what I mean? You want them to hear about risky behaviors and, oh my gosh, my coach said that, my mom said that. Maybe that's the normal, not what we're seeing online and social media.
I'm so glad that you mentioned the coach, because another point in our conversation at that house was, you know, let them know that there are other supportive adults.
Yes.
And I literally, after the talk, I told my daughter, I said, you know, you can reach out to Stephanie too if you wanted. Right?
I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, use phones for what they should be used for.
Right.
I always joke that how often do we actually see this? We don't. We see this.
Exactly.
So pick up and make a call. Or if I feel like, oh my gosh, that person, in my case, you know, I met your kids.
Yes.
She might know the answer, and I'm a little embarrassed to ask my mom.
Or they don't
Shoot
want
me
to
a
talk
text.
to
Yeah.
they don't want to talk to parents, sadly, mom and dad, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe sometimes it's easier to open the door to somebody that they trust.
You know,
right?
if you've got a sister, their aunt, something like that, grandparents. I was so close to mine, and I remind kids all the time now how much I miss them and take advantage of their wisdom, their years on the planet. Because one thing we don't always say is brain development. Some of these kids are making poor decisions and choices because they've only lived on the planet 13 and 15 years. Someone older might have some of that insight, some of that wisdom to help them.
Right. Another very important thing is you need to make sure that they are sleeping well and studying, right?
Yeah. There's some studies that came out in 2010, and I always point this out because the prevalence of phones was around 2008. We never really talked about mental health or teen mental health problems until around 2010, 2 years after the phones are out. So they're on their phones. They're not sleeping, which impacts their academic, I was going to say failure or success. Really, it's they're not sleeping, they're not doing well.
Right.
So there's a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
So that's why we need to be involved.
So important. Okay, another great event that you've got going on happening in Peoria. Tell me about Family Day.
Family Day. Families who eat together connect. You know, it's as simple as that. We connect, we communicate, we share. People think Red Ribbon Week is a week, Family Day is a day. No, maybe a couple days a week we sit down, but for Peoria, we've been so blessed that we have a pizzeria that's willing to host our event. It's free for anyone in Peoria. I'll tell you right now, please register on our 3PC website, Peoria Primary Prevention. It's a mouthful.
Okay.
But how great. You can come out, have some family interaction, play some games, connect with your kids, get a free meal, and learn about some of our coalition activities that are ultimately trying to keep your family safe and well.
Absolutely. It's Stephanie, always great to have you. Thank you so much for what you do, not only for our kids, but the community as well. Yeah,
Thank you
really
for the opportunity. I just want to help more.
I know. I can feel it. I can feel it, Stephanie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.